Hi, it's me, Rachel Ann, and today's Tip Tuesday is whether or not you should change your tax withholdings if you got a refund. So if you are new to my channel, I am on a journey to get out of my student loan debt and lose some weight along the way. If any of that interests you, please go ahead and click that red subscribe button and join me on this journey. So yesterday was tax day. Tax season is officially over. By now, you should have filed your taxes and you should know whether or not you owed the government money or whether or not you're getting a little bit back from the government because you gave them a little bit of a interest-free loan. So today I'm going to talk about whether or not you should change your tax withholdings and if it really makes a big difference in debt payoff. So first of all, if you ended up owing money this year on your taxes, you're probably going to want to go ahead and change your withholdings so that they take out a little bit more so that you don't have such a big tax bill at the beginning of the year next year. As far as how to change your withholdings, I suggest you talk to your HR representative and they can help you with those steps. Also, I just want to put out a disclaimer that everything that I am talking about today is just dealing with US taxes. I don't know a whole lot about tax law as it is in the US, let alone any other countries. So I know I briefly mentioned that if you ended up owing, you're going to probably want to change your taxes. But for the bulk of this video, I'm going to focus on if you actually got a tax refund and if that is a bad thing or not. Maybe you've heard this before, that you should get your taxes withholdings down so that you don't owe, but that you also don't get a refund each year. You kind of want to try to be as close to zero as possible so that you're not giving the government a tax-free loan on your money and that you are also not owing money that you're not prepared to pay or dipping into your emergency fund or anything like that to pay this money that you weren't expecting. This is not necessarily always true. I don't think that getting a tax refund is always a bad thing. What I am trying to do is actually help you decide whether or not it is worth it to you to change your withholdings and whether or not it is the right decision for you. And then of course, going into the future, any tax laws that change, of course, might change some of the outcomes that you might be trying to calculate. So now let's actually get into some numbers. I'm going to go over my personal numbers as well as some different scenarios that may or may not be close to your scenario to kind of compare and see what the difference is. I actually did a video about my tax refund and how I was getting money back, and if you would like to see that video more in detail, I will link it up here in the card for you. But basically, for numbers' sake, I got back about $700 between my federal and my state tax refunds. So I was wondering, what would the difference be if I got that money back throughout the year instead of all at once in my tax refund? So doing some calculations, I got $669 back from the federal government and I got $89 back from the state. That is a total of $758. So what I did with that number is I divided it by 12 as if I had gotten it back each month in my paychecks. That comes out to $63 a month extra that I supposedly would have gotten. I used a debt calculator to help me out with the following calculations. I will leave the link down below for the debt calculator that I used to help me determine my payoff. So in the debt calculator, I basically put that I have a $45,000 student loan that I am paying on. I am currently paying at least $1,200 a month. About $1,225 a month is kind of my bare minimum. So my calculations are not including extras at all. According to the debt calculator, I would pay $5,599 in interest over the course of my loan, and I would also spend 42 months paying on this loan. I added in the $63 a month that I would just put towards debt extra. This means that I would pay $5,288 in interest, and I would pay off the loan in 40 months. It saves me about $300 in interest and 2 months in paying off my loan. First of all, I don't plan on it taking even close to 40 months to pay off this loan. Probably more like 20 to 30 months. Plus, the scenario that I'm putting out here is assuming that I never apply the $758 that I get in my tax refund. I never apply it to debt. Well, in every scenario that I see happening with getting a tax refund for me, it would be applied towards my debt. So with all this in mind, even just the numbers and then knowing that I would apply my tax refund towards my debt, I feel like the $300 in interest and the 2 months that it shaves off of paying off my student loans is very, very minimal. I feel like it's not actually worth it to go in and change my tax filings for me. I feel like it's not worth the risk of me that I might actually end up paying if I actually change things, because I do have other side hustles. I do make extra money, and that also makes a big difference. If you have a lot of side hustles, if you have any jobs where you don't pay in for taxes, which if you do, then you definitely need to be reserving money for paying your taxes because you will probably end up owing. But if you have several other side jobs, which of course Dave recommends that you have, you're going to hear this throughout all of the debt-free community that yes, you should try to make as much money as you can and have as many sources of income as you can. And so having multiple sources of income means it's a little bit more shady on what you do and do not owe in your taxes. I just feel like it's not worth the risk to me to possibly end up having to pay towards my taxes come next year if I change things right now. So I decided to play around with this calculator because yes, I'm kind of a nerd. I love the numbers, but I also thought that it might help you out a little bit. I decided to see what would happen if I had a $2,000 tax refund. Just about close to double what I got this year. $2,000 divided by 12 for each month of the year is $167. If I continue paying my $1,225 like I do, and then pay the $167 from each month, that comes out to $1,392. This means for my situation and my student loans, I would end up paying $4,847 towards interest, and it would take me 36 months to pay it off. This saves me $752 in interest, and it shaves off 6 months of paying off my student loans. But again, I'd like to reiterate that this scenario is only true if the money that I get back from a tax refund never gets applied toward debt. And again, it would be. And so knowing that that money would actually be applied towards debt if it were in the form of a tax refund, I'm still not entirely convinced that it would be worth it. I might go ahead and change things around if it were closer to $2,000, but because it's $1,000 or under, I feel like it's just not worth the risk of maybe possibly ending up paying, especially because I do plan to increase my income throughout the year through multiple sources. I'd also like to point out that I am only considering my student loans, which my student loans are at about a 6.5% interest rate, which is not that much. I feel like it's high for student loans, but it's really not that much of an interest rate. If I had credit cards, which were at, 20 or 30% interest rate, I might look at things a little bit differently. But again, I'm using myself as an example here. So I suggest that you, of course, go look at that debt calculator, put in the different numbers that I am talking about, and see what is right for you. Don't do something just because it's right for me. Don't do something just because somebody else tells you to. You have to figure out what is right for you. I want to give you one last example, just kind of, at least for me, it seems like a bit of an extreme example. And that is if I got back $5,000 in my tax refund. Let's just see what happens. I took $5,000 divided by 12, and that is $417. Already I'm like, okay, yeah, this one might be worth it. So if I took my $1,225 payment per month, that's already my bare minimum, I add the $417 to it, that comes out to $1,642 of a minimum payment each month that I'm applying towards debt. By the end of the loan, I would pay $4,043 in interest, and it would take me 30 months to pay it off. This saves me $1,556 in interest, as well as a year of paying off my student loans. That is definitely worth it. Although again, this assumes that the money that I got back in my tax refund never gets applied to debt. which it would be. So if you are getting a smaller refund, if you are keeping track of your budget, you're making big payments as it is to debt, you're using any tax refund that you get to apply towards debt, I don't know if it's worth it to change your tax withholdings. This is something that you have to figure out if it's worth it to you or not. Because obviously your totals are going to be different than mine. You're going to have to figure out what you would be getting back per month. You're going to have to figure out if it's worth it to you. How much money in interest will you save? How many months of paying off debt will you save? Are you going to apply your tax refund to debt, or are you going to take your tax refund and just spend it and blow it on who knows what? I will also say that if you're getting a big tax refund and you're barely making ends meet, you should definitely change your tax withholdings so that you can actually have a little bit more wiggle room in your budget. It will really help you out. But if you have a hard time saving and you're just going to end up blowing that money from month to month anyway, and getting a big check all at once is actually going to help you apply that towards debt, maybe having a forced savings is the way to go. That, and you probably need to get on a budget too, but that's another video. My point here is that you have to figure out what is right for you, what is right for your budget, and what kind of risk do you have on owing money next year, or how much of that money are you going to actually apply towards debt, get out of debt, or apply even towards saving or investing if that is the stage that you're at. You just have to know yourself, know your budget, and know what you will or will not do with any extra money that you get from month to month, or any tax refund that you're going to get next year and the year after. So leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you got a tax refund this year, if you're getting one, or if you ended up owing. Also, let me know if you're going to change anything. If you owed or if you got a refund, are you going to change things so that it's a little bit different next year? I'd love to know what you plan to do. I don't know if I made this clear or not, but I'm not actually going to change my tax withholdings because I do plan on having more extra income coming in through various sources, and they might not take all the money out that they should be. So I just want to kind of err on the side of caution. I'd rather get a couple of $100s back next year than end up owing a couple of $100s. So give this video a like, because you know what? Tax season is done. We don't have to worry about it anymore. Hopefully you filed your taxes on time. And don't forget to subscribe if you are not already. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.